Usually with Diggs, the play when they need to get him the ball, because he's a guy that if I don't get the ball, I chafe, right? That's him. Usually the plays that work is that little small slant.
Sure.
Where it's that 5 to 7 yard slant that maybe he catches and he goes forward for 10 or 12 yards, or at least he gets 8 yards. Maybe it's a sluggo route. Sluggo. Those are the routes that get him back on target. And he didn't have that tonight. And the Broncos didn't. Again, tough matchup for him. We knew coming in, tough matchup for him. And it was going to be, not every game is going to be Stephon Diggs, 12 catches. He's over 30 now. Younger DBs are going to have a chance to lock him up. Doesn't mean he's not a top receiver, but not every game is going to go this way. And, you know the Bills, they tried a couple of those quick slants, and it didn't work. Josh Allen was off target, and coverage was there for him. Again, this all falls under the category of the Bills are not the Bills. And if they have a bad year this year, then you watch things get blown up after this year. And
McDermott's going to be out.
McDermott will likely be out. Stephon Diggs will be gone. They will trade him. Listen, you got to get up out of Buffalo, and they try to reimagine the team around Josh Allen a little bit differently. Hey, maybe they look at it like, hey, Mahomes in Kansas City, where, okay, the one guy we have is our tight end because Dalton Kincaid is turning into a star. Great. He's our guy. He's the next Travis Kelce. And now let's have the wide receivers around him, and maybe we can take some of that money and we can move it around and do a couple things. We have to reimagine because it's not good enough. Our window with this team is closed. We got to open it up again. But that's what you're looking at if you're Buffalo. The end of this year comes. It's not going to be, hey, we're just going to run it back next year and hope it happens. There's going to be big time changes. And if it's already tough with Stephon Diggs, even coming into the year, you could tell he wasn't happy. And now you're at the point, his brother's tweeting out, my brother's got to get up out of there. And his brother knows what tweeting that out there is going to mean for him. So it's not like Trevon Diggs is doing this and suddenly Stephon's going to call him and go, dude, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? He's not just going to tweet that out there and say, oh, hey, I'm sorry, man. I just got caught up in it. That's my bad. So there's been conversation. You know what's out there. This will be the end of Stephon Diggs in Buffalo. It'll be the end of a lot of things in Buffalo, too, because they're going to have to start over. Because what it's going to be is it's not that suddenly the Bills have turned into an awful team, but their Super Bowl window is closing, and it will close at the end of this year with this group. We told you in the summer, this window is closing, and it's closing fast, and now it looks like it might be closed.
Well, again, with the AFC, and this is where it's kind of funny, is given where we're at this point in the season, who are you saying, all right, has it all together? Nobody. Miami Dolphins
the Jets have it all together, except completely opposite.
It's completely opposite.
Yes.
But legitimately, right? We were talking before, crown the Ravens. Well, they don't close. And they gave up a big lead, and all of a sudden, Deshaun Watson's doing a little bit of that Undertaker meme thing down the stretch. Actually played some of the best football he's played in a very long time down the stretch. We know that defense. There's no slouches there. So they're back in the mix. Pittsburgh keeps winning. Kenny Pickett, I think on average, if you count the number,
he still stinks.
Yeah,
he still stinks.
But they stay in games. They're enough of a nuisance. I mean, they're 6-3. Okay, you don't have to like it.
He still stinks.
But they're good enough, and with Tomlin's always going to have him around. Jalen Warren, Najee Harris seems to have been spurred on by the fact that Warren was introduced as the starter because he ran like he was shot out of a cannon to start that game. And all of a sudden, but they're hanging around. But the point is, in the AFC, it's a bleeping mess all the way around. Chiefs haven't figured out their offense yet. Defense has been fantastic. So we go into all these different component parts. There's no team running away and hiding. So you just need to get your ticket to the dance and have a few things figured out. Now, do I believe necessarily with one of the hardest schedules in the NFL down the stretch? And that's what the Bills are. Statistically, I think it's a top 5 hardest schedule down the stretch here. A couple games that are really make them and break them here in the next couple of weeks. But I wouldn't definitively rule it out, at least when we look at the AFC, because it's a quagmire. It really is in terms of teams rising up and saying, where's your guy? Jacksonville's the lead in the South. Do they matter? No. We get excited about Houston, but am I suddenly going to go lop a bunch of gold bars into the middle of a table and say, I'm all on board the Texans.
Stroud.
And it's a fantastic story. Went from 100 to 1 last week to 30 to 1 now.
I told you. And now today everybody's on that. Oh, I think C.J. Stroud might be the MVP. Sorry, Dan Orlovsky. We talked about it last week. Congratulations. Hope you got a lot of clicks.
Yeah, we were on that. I mean, and he played really well, and he has been for a while. But there's a division suddenly asunder, right? Trevor Lawrence hasn't been good. Justin Fields still has more touchdown passes than Trevor Lawrence, and he hasn't played in weeks, right? So, I mean, we go through all of the AFC, go division by division. The Bills are still the second best team in that division.
Well, I will say this. Of all the teams that I can see making a run, right? Like if you get it together, the Bill because you have a really good quarterback, you could make a run.
That's it.
But the bottom line is you've had the schedule to make that run already, and you haven't done it. So now when it gets harder, you're going to make the run against that difficult schedule. You've played the Jets and the Broncos, and you lost both those games. You've had the easy part of the schedule.
Now the Jets, defensively, have been strong.
Jets defensively are great.
And the Broncos, after that 70-point shellacking by the Dolphins and all the calls for Vance Joseph's head, which they did not decide to do, they've suddenly figured it out. They've gotten healthier defensively, and even with shedding off some of the extra players, they've made a run and they've gotten much better. They got a couple of extra gifts. I mean, you want to talk about holidays coming early. We're celebrating Diwali. Cheers to all you that celebrate. The idea that, you had the fumble and the interception were gift wrapped turnovers for you. So you make the most of them. But for the Bills, I don't count them out as dead so long as 17's upright and moving.
Watch
and
that window
14
closing.
hasn't held up a sign saying I want out like he's Wile E. Coyote.
It's like your mom when she sees it's going to rain, she's having trouble closing that window, but eventually she gets it and shuts that window. It's slamming
That
shut.
seal always kind of scared you, didn't it?
That's
the old school windows. Now you got the glides or whatever.
Yeah, now
but back then it was wham!
The old ones, because the windows would change and they would ebb and flow and the wood would expand and contract. That's what's happening to the Bills right now. That window is shutting.